Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. And this really might be the darkest timeline, so it's probably the podcast that we need right now. There'll be movies, games and TV, and something from the week that was when this was recorded. If you're not checking us out on YouTube, do please check us out. And if you could subscribe to the channel, it'd be a big help. Really helps the channel out. And yeah, that's cool. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Oh, right. As you guys know, do a little bit of setup beforehand. Now press the record button. Everything looks different. I actually think that's the thing. I did a podcast with JK on Friday, and we were saying about the sounds a bit like I'm too loud and he's too quiet. Did a sound test beforehand. I was like, no, that all seems fine to me. Everything's good. Press record and everything just dropped 1%. Just going to do that. When you criticise other people for doing the same and then you do that. It's been one of those days today. One of those days where the day was fine. I keep saying to people, I took the baby to nursery this morning, and it was get up, it's Monday, take the baby to nursery, drop her off, send her in, job done, back of the car, drive home. At like 25 to 9, I'm looking at the time going, why isn't it 3 o'clock in the afternoon? I don't know what it is about taking the baby to nursery that just... The day's like 9,000 times longer. I can't work it out, but that is the situation. And it was just, when you're just like, if I can just make it through the day, everything will be fine, everything will be okay. If I can just make it through the day, and then 5:05. Right. So it's been one of those days where it was fine most of the day and then it wasn't. I had one of those weird kind of checked the podcast list. That is the word I'm looking for. Checked the podcast list earlier today and realised that I didn't have anything from the last week, and was going to go down a completely different route for the podcast for today, and then was like, well, that's not true, I have got stuff to talk about. I've not been sleeping very well. I don't know why. The conclusion that I came to today was that I don't think I'm tired enough. I think over the course of the lockdown, I think I've kind of recouped my sleep, like all my missing sleep, and that's weird because I'm probably about 25 years in deficit at this point in time as far as sleep is concerned. But I look at like sleep as like if you had like a big Duracell battery. Whoa, not necessarily any kind of battery, just a big battery in your chest, and you need so much sleep and so much food and so much fuel, all those things that make up the fuel to fill the battery, and I used to run at the very bottom end of the scale, the kind of point where you'd need to find a charger if it was your phone. For years and years, I'd get home at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd go to bed, I'd be up at 7, and then go to work and do 9 or 10 hours, and rinse and repeat. And that was for years, and then it was like, oh, I can't go to bed at 4 in the morning, maybe 2 in the morning's the answer. And age and things like that. So I don't think I'm tired enough. That links in part to I haven't run in weeks. Part of me wonders whether I'm waking up at certain times because my conscience, whatever that supposedly is waking me up at a certain point in time going, mate, you should get up and go running. And I keep saying to myself, if I woke up at a specific time, that's what I would do. It's not true. It's a lie that I tell myself. But I kind of think if it carries on, as an example, if I woke up at 6 o'clock every morning for a week, then maybe I'd be like, do you know something? This is clearly a sign, and I should get up, and I should go out, and I should run, and maybe that'd start, a new life. But it's all over the place. I decided I needed an early night. Feels like a couple of weeks ago. It was like, I need an early night, so I'm going to go to bed early. And unlike every other time, I actually did go to bed early. I went, I read, I was falling asleep while I was reading, so it's like, this is great. Get to bed, get to sleep. 1 o'clock in the morning, the baby's like, Daddy, I need you to come and see me. How babies do that by crying at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck? So I went and I lay her down, and that was no good. And she just needed a hug. Lay her down, she went back to sleep. But all I could think was typical. One time I actually do get an early night. And it's been a very gradual thing, but it's been a very noticeable thing. I don't know if it's the weather, am I too warm and I just can't get comfortable and I'm not falling into a deep enough sleep. I've got a lot going on at the moment, so maybe my mind can't rest enough. Maybe I'm in some kind of alert state. I don't know. Last night was awful. One of those nights where I just felt like I was awake all night. And then, like I say, by 10 o'clock this morning, when I think it should be 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm like, I could go to bed now. I'm exhausted. I could go to bed. Yeah, very strange. Lot of tossing and turning. Yeah, can't say. And again, it's not, like if you get into bed, you roll over, light off, ready for sleepy time, and then it's like, oh man, I can't sleep. It's not even that. It's not that I can't sleep. It's that I can't stay asleep. Maybe that's the way to word it. I can't stay asleep. Now I look back over everything that I've just said, I'm now thinking there's probably multiple reasons why that is. I need to get back to running. There's that. That's one of those. I need to get back to running. Ironically, Wednesday is my non-working day, my day with the baby, which is a perfect opportunity to run because she will have a sleep and I can leave her here, give Leanne the monitor and set out on a run. Wednesday this week is going to be the hottest day of the year so far, so probably a good time to go for a run. I've done it before. I'm sure I've mentioned me and my eldest thought the best idea was to go for a run on the hottest day last year. Could keep that going. I'm drinking a little cup of coffee. Some of you out there are now saying, I wonder if that's the reason you can't sleep, dickhead. And you could be right. So, I don't usually date these because I don't. Something I've been toying with, something I nearly did this evening, but today, like I said, today didn't end well, so I am not in a good state. Something I am toying with the idea is switching this to a video podcast. The short version is this, at this point in time, is the only non-video podcast. I was about to say I don't know why that is. I know exactly why that is. I don't want to put myself on camera. However, the video podcasts at the moment are the easiest to code. Even Lance, when I have to like cut like sections out and stuff, because it gets a little bit out of sync because she's very quiet. She talks very quiet. Even those, they're still like 10 times faster than coding one of these. And maybe it's about time to make my life easier by putting my ugly mug on the video. Like I say, nearly did it today, but I didn't. I've got a little tester with Mr. Dench tomorrow. Test out some of the other kit. See if there's a better option for doing these podcasts. Like a one ring to rule them all sort of thing. Like a one-stop shop for all your podcasting needs. I've got a couple of choices. So I think I'm just going to try them out. And then ultimately, if none of it works, then, we're probably going to have to look at other options. A new laptop. So yeah, I don't normally date these, but yesterday was Father's Day. Not something that I ever had to worry about for a lot of years. However, for last year, this year, and a few other years, it is something I've been concerned with. But from the other side, from the receiving side, I get gifts on Father's Day, which is nice. I got some lovely gifts yesterday, and I got the best gift that you could get on Father's Day. I got to spend the day with all of my children, which is the best gift I could ask for. If I'd have got nothing and just that, lovely well thought out gifts. My eldest wrote me a book, one of these books where like the pages are printed with like statements, and then she wrote like, when I think about my daddy, I think about superhero and things like that. Apparently the thing that I've passed on to her is good taste in music, and her hopes for the future for me and her is that we'll one day drink coffee together. So yeah, it was good. It was a good day. Yeah, it was good. It was like the baby was like, "Hey daddy, let's be best friends today." I'm like, okay. She's like, there was a couple of times that she asked me to pick her up, which she's never, if she's in the bath and she wants me to get out of the bath, she'll do the universal baby sign for pick me up, which is 2 arms up in the air. But twice yesterday she did the universal sign for pick me up to me, which was kind of cool, kind of apt. Me and the middle daughter had a nice hug. One of my favourite things, and one of my favourite things about my middle daughter, is that she will come to me and ask me for a hug. She's like, "Daddy, shall me and you have a snuggle?" I'm like, yes, we should. Me and my eldest did some 3D penning, which I'll come to in a bit. We spent a bit of the day shopping for clothes for them. which, yeah, it's difficult. My eldest is too tall, is the problem. She's too tall, so just absolute nightmare to get clothes, because ultimately they don't fit. She doesn't fit clothes, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do about this? Clothes don't fit the child. What do I do? So yeah, there was that. It's been a busy old week, I'll tell you that much, kids. There was a point today where I was like, I ain't got anything to talk about, so I'm not going to talk about anything from this week. What I am going to talk about is the other stuff. And then I was like, oh no, sleeping on Father's Day. Shall we do pet love, pet hate early and get it out of the way? I have 1 pet love and 2 pet hates. There's a reason for that. The reason is that neither of the pet hates could wait a week, because they're very poignant. They're very much well, I'll explain. This week's pet love, pet hate. Pet love, rest days. So what, I work out 5 times a week. Not as much as I should in a lot of ways, but I'm still doing it. I'm still working out 5 times a week. What that means is that 2 days a week I don't work out. Now, sometimes what will end up happening is I'll have like Wednesday and Saturday my rest days, and sometimes there is a podcast on a Wednesday. The wrestling podcast often falls on a Wednesday, so I'll be like, oh yeah, rest day, can just get the baby down, get her to sleep, and then it's nothing. It's just tea, it's just have a sit, play some game, read a book. Yay, rest days. And then there's those times where I go, mother, because I've forgotten that I've got a podcast to do. So the rest day is stolen. You know, when you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be great, I'm going to do this, I'm going to really enjoy my time. Like time off, I'm really going to enjoy my time off, when you've forgotten that you actually got a job to do. That sort of thing. But then there are the actual rest days, where you haven't got to work out, you haven't got a podcast on the cards, you haven't got a group call, you haven't got anything. It's just you. So this week's pet love is rest days. I love a good rest day. It's it's the absolute business. Like I say, 2 pet hates. So one of them, which has always been something that I've always disliked, and I think it shouldn't be a thing. I think it should be abolished. On-street parking. I had to deal with it today twice. On the way down to the baby's nursery, there's a corner, long road, 30-mile-an-hour road as well, which is strange because it's the middle of a residential area, so it baffles me that it's 30. Some bright individuals decide, you know what, that blind corner at the start or end, depending which way you're going, of that really long 30-mile-an-hour road. Do you know what I'm going to do? In my big white Audi, that's right, I'm going to park on the street on that corner. You're taking your life into your own hands, because you're essentially pulling out onto the other side of the road to go around a blind corner at 30. What if there's somebody coming the other way doing 30? And who has to, if you're parked, because it's not just a car, there are multiple cars. If you're halfway through going down and the other car's coming the other way and it goes halfway, who then has to move? I presume it's whoever's assigned to the obstruction. Anyway, on street parking. So then I drop the baby off and I come back a different way, and the other road that I come up is every single house has a car on one side of the road, has a car outside it parked on the street. And it's like, well, this is a 20-mile-an-hour road, and I'm going to have to try and blast down here at 20 miles an hour and hope that there isn't a car coming the other way. There's a house at the top of my street that's having like what looks like major building work done. So that involves like 3 massive white vans, a smaller van, 2 cars, all parked opposite the street. So like half of them are illegally parked because you can't park opposite a street. It's just, I get that, you know, there are times you need to park. I have to park when I want to take the baby, and it's on a corner, and it's a blind corner. I get it, it's necessary, but let's make it not. Let's not and say we did. How about that? That's one of my pet hates. The other one, this one, it makes me real angry. This is why I needed a second pet hate, because I was so angry. Saturday, podcast coding day. Part of the process of coding the podcast is I have to upload it to SoundCloud. SoundCloud, for all that's where the podcast sort of lives, essentially. For all that side of it, fine. For usability, for user-friendly, it's a friggin' nightmare. And what I mean by that is that the majority of it is fairly simple. Drag and drop your audio, add a picture, add a title, add a description, tell us when you want to release it. All of that's fine. Put some tags, so hashtags essentially, so you put hashtag podcast, hashtag computer games, hashtag movies. So I put hashtag podcast, enter. Hashtag movies, enter. Hashtag games, enter, and games changes to go. Oh no, I didn't write go, I wrote GAMES, and you have changed that word, which is an actual registered word, a real word, you've changed that word to go. Delete. Sometimes you press delete twice and it deletes the one in front of it, you've got to rewrite that one. And it does it to almost everything. You'll be like typey. You'll write like 2 really long words, press enter, it only gets the first 2 letters of the second word, so you have to backspace, rewrite the whole thing. It's one of the worst systems I've ever had the misfortune of using, because when I upload a video to YouTube has exactly the same function, and not once have I had to deal with the same problem. So it can't be that difficult to get right. But SoundCloud are like, I mean, what do you want? You know, we're only taking money from you to provide a service. It's not like we should be doing it properly or anything. So I spent all day Saturday coding podcasts and ultimately had to write down on my list, pet hate, SoundCloud's tag function. It's awful. So there. 3D pen, finally. I was talking to my eldest about 3D pen. She was like, I want to do some 3D pen. Then she's like, I don't want to do any 3D pen. Then she's like, actually, yeah, I do. I'm like, cool, let's do that then. I was like, ooh, I want to do 3D pen because I haven't, and I really want to. And basically, I was saying to her whilst dropping my phone on the floor that it's a lot. Unfortunately, it's a lot to get out. You have to get the mat out, you got to get the pen out, you got to get the plug out, you got to get the extension cable out, you got to get the filament out that you want to use. You got to get the scissors, you got to get the bits box. all of that. So it's, when you do it on your own, it's kind of a lot, and there's a point where your mind goes, I don't think I can be arsed. Which is why it's great to do it with my eldest, because it makes me do it. Like, get the stuff out, we'll do it together. And that's what we did. So I have finally started the top of the cover for the mixer. So far it won't be big enough, and I'm looking at the mixer now, and it's currently like a grid, probably 10 centimetre square grid. So each of the squares needs filling in. There's that needs doing, and then it needs making bigger, probably twice as big. But as I said to Leanne, at least it's a start. At least I've made a start, and I can go from there. I know that I should be able to. I just can't trust the laptop. I should be able to. I should be able to say, it's fine, I trust you, do your thing. I just don't. Maybe I should move it closer. So yeah, I did a little bit of 3D paint. I really do need to make it more of a hobby, really. I need to get on and get this cake, because ultimately what's going to happen is somebody, probably me, is going to spill a drink on the mixer, and it's going to be broken, and it's going to be X amount of pounds down the drain because I didn't do the thing that I'm supposed to do. So yeah, need to crack on. Right, let's look at, I'm going to take that off. I've left that on there for weeks, and it's really distracting, as you can tell. Breaking Bad series 5. I finished Breaking Bad. Jesus, that last episode. I would put that last episode of Breaking Bad up against anything. Any episode of any TV show. The last episode of any TV show. I was looking on IMDb for something, and the last few episodes, I think, might be the second to last episode, scores 10 on IMDb. The one before it's like 9.8 or 9.6 or something. I think the one after it's like a 9 point something. Man, those episodes. That last episode has one of my favourite all time ever shots of anything, and it is purely done on it's filmed straight, and then there's just a point where the camera turns slightly to the left. And the first time I saw that, I got chills from watching it. I was just like, oh my god, that is amazing. It's hard going, it's tough going, you know, you gotta find a way to get through it. Especially the second time round. The second time round was a lot harder to watch. When I was watching it the first time, I was just binging it. I just had to get it into my eyes. This time around, I had to take a lot of breaks from it because it is really difficult TV, because it's so powerful. And that last episode, oh man, it's just the absolute best. So good. Oh, Jesus. I finished it, and it's all I could think about, like TV wise, for a good few days afterwards. It's absolutely awesome. It's absolutely amazing. As a series, I will say, hands down, the best TV series ever made. Hands down. I put it up against The Sopranos, and you know, any of those sorts of things. People rate other things. Yeah, I know people rate The Wire and The Shield and things like that. I've never seen The Shield, like a full series. I've seen episodes, and I watched The Wire, and I didn't rate it. Sopranos, absolutely. The other one that probably comes close for me would probably be Ray Donovan, but up to a point. Ray Donovan should have ended at the point that everybody thought it had ended. Then it got another series, and that series was very lacking. And then I believe there's been another series since then, and I'm like, I think they should have probably ended. The series where I'm like, it should have ended there. That was a very emotional time for me, very emotional time in my life. I cried through every single episode. It was a subject matter that's very personal to me, and I just cried through every single episode. So maybe that's part of why I think it should have probably ended. I know a lot of people had a lot of issues around the way that it was going to end. But gun to my head, Breaking Bad, hands down the best TV show there has ever been. Need something a little bit more light-hearted, so I started and finished watching F is for Family Series 4. I was talking about it the other day, and I was saying it's interesting how people make a lot of money off TV series that have certain themes. And the theme of like F is for Family Series 4 is the main character Frank, voiced by Bill Burr, his upbringing from his father and how that affected him as a parent, and how his upbringing was awful, but everybody saw that it was fine, and nobody saw what a terrible man his father was, and all this, that and the other. And I was talking about it, and I was like, I look at that and I'm like, well, that's just like a normal upbringing, isn't it? Because that's how it was for me. Very poignant, very interesting to watch how we're trying to tell a story and we're trying to make it funny, and we're trying to talk about like older versions of parents and their way of upbringing, and I'm like, well, that's how it was done, wasn't it? But then I'm watching it on the screen thinking, I don't think that this is being portrayed as it being a good thing, so it's good, it's good, it's enjoyable. F is for Family reminds me of like wrapping Christmas presents. That and Richard Pryor live on Sunset Strip. Those two things remind me of wrapping Christmas presents. Yeah, it was good. It was a good series. The one criticism I had, I know that I've said sort of tend to have to find a criticism, but the one criticism I had around that series was I really like Vic as a character. I think he's probably one of the better characters, if not the best character. Maybe there are reasons why I think that. Who knows? But he was not a good character in that series. They really like let him go as a character. Like, when somebody says, oh, they've really let themselves go, it was kind of like that. Like, they'd really let themselves go as a character. It was quite sad in a lot of ways. It was like, you've taken this character who's like the best character in it and made them not the best character in it. Why would you do that? The series was a lot about Frank and his relationship with his father. So, yeah, there you go. F is for Family, great series. I'm just thinking now. I started something today that I've not written on the list. Mortgage. There you go. I started watching something that I've been really, really, really wanting to see for ages. And I've nearly bought it a multitude of times. However, podcaster Luke told me that it's now available on the iPlayer. So I've started watching What We Do in the Shadows Series 1. I was late to the party on the film. My mate Pete was like, "Have you seen this?" No. Oh my god, it's the best film ever. It's my favourite film. You have to see it. So a few more times than that, I bought it. I watched it. It was great. Taika Waititi's in it. Jermaine Clements is in it. It's anybody that doesn't know, it's a lot of vampires that live together in a house. It's comedy, a black comedy. They've done a TV series, and off the back of the movie, and it's got Matt Berry in, which straight off the bat is going to make it great. It's really good. It's really good. There's the thing where they say bat and then they turn into bats, but it's used like it's hilarious. It's really good. Certainly not something that I was able to put on during the day, let's say, because it was a little too distracting. So that's something that I can only watch at other times, which means that I don't get to watch it very often. What I have seen has been fantastic. Apparently it's even better in the second series, which is also available. So big thumbs up to BBC iPlayer, because she saved me 15 quid. Apparently my TV licence is worth something. I started watching Rick and Morty Series 4 today. It's new to Netflix and it's only got 5 episodes of Series 4. I really put it off because I really didn't want to watch it, because I have this thing where if you make me wait for a TV series that I really enjoy, I somehow manage to make myself hate it. I think it's so that I can get through the waiting for stuff. If I hate it, then I don't care that it's not here for me to watch. That's why I have to watch series that have ended so I can just binge them, so on and so forth. Even when I saw that it was available to watch on Netflix, I was like, fucking Rick and Morty, whatever. Bleh. Started watching it today and wow, there's a series that's taken a real downturn. It's not good. Each episode feels like the hell is it called? It's not ad-libbing, it's a type of like theatre group where there's no script and you just improvisation sections of Harmontown. If anybody ever listened to Harmontown, there'd be often points in time where they would just start improvising, and it was hilarious, but it wasn't. Improvisational comedy is not for me. I don't enjoy it at all. And they did it a lot. I would sit through it and I'd listen to it, but often I would not enjoy it. Every episode of Rick and Morty now feels like, because they don't do Harmontown anymore, they can just do improvised comedy. It doesn't really feel like it makes a lot of sense. It doesn't feel like it really fits. The other thing that is super annoying is Dan Harmon seems to have taken on the role of, I'm going to do the voice of every other character. Honestly, I wish he'd have just carried on doing Harmontown so that we could get that stuff out of there and we could make a better TV series. From what I'm told, the second half of the series is better, but it's taken a real downwards turn, which is a real shame, but ultimately they were never going to be able to keep it going. It was just not going to be able to stay at the high level and the high standard that it was at. I watched a film called Lost Bullet. Lost Bullet is a foreign movie, and I looked up to see where it's from. Part of me thinks it might have been French. I watched it dubbed, which I normally wouldn't do, and part of me wishes I hadn't. However, again, it was on during the day, let's say. So the only way I could do that was have it dubbed. Unfortunately, there was fight scenes in it, and they dubbed the fight scenes. So a lot of the noises that were being made didn't go with the quote-unquote action. It was a real hodgepodge of a film. It was fine, but one minute you're like, man, this is super low budget, and the next minute you're like, wow, look at this car chase, it's really cool. They've obviously spent a lot of money. Feels very much like a possibility that they were like, we've got X amount of money to spend and we want to do these really elaborate car chases, so that's where the money's going to go. We'll have to scrimp and scrape on the rest of the film. Some of the characters were really cliche, and there's a fight in a police station, and all I was able to think throughout it was, so not a single one of these police officers has had any form of training to deal with somebody in this kind of scenario. There was like one guy, he took on an entire police station of police and won. And it's not like there was a previous mention that he was like a martial artist or anything. Just he was some guy, beat up a load of coppers. So yeah, it was fine. Yeah, a little bit all over the place, a little bit, but it was ultimately fine. Past the time. I also watched the Justice League again. I must have seen that film 10 times now. Honestly, don't know what to tell you. It's the same as always. I like bad films, and I don't think that the Justice League is a bad film as much as the critics made it out to be. It's not brilliant, don't get me wrong. I am very interested to see the Schneider cut of this film. So there's trailers are already starting to emerge, so that'll be interesting to see how that develops. Let's talk games. Still playing FIFA, which might surprise some people. But I am still playing it. Middlesbrough are currently top of the table. So it turns out the thing that Middlesbrough Football Club were missing was Cookie, the player known as Cookie, to get out there, get on the field and score anywhere between 3 and 6 goals every single game. Shortest version is I play a couple of games of FIFA and then I switch it off and put something else on. Like I say, Middlesbrough are doing well. Was playing, I'm pretty sure I told you I was playing Batman Arkham Knight. Got super pissed off. Bearing in mind this is a game that I've played and finished multiple times. Got super pissed off on the last of the Riddler challenges before you free Catwoman from the necklace thing. That driving challenge has always annoyed the shit out of me. Had to turn it off and go to bed one day having not completed it, which is a bit of a no-no as far as games concerned. But when I went back to it the next day, I did manage to complete it, which was cool. However, I am not playing Batman Arkham Knight at this point in time because on Friday, and anybody who has listened to the Gameskeeper podcast will know, I got The Last of Us Part 2. Not going to say loads right now, because like I say, there is a gaming podcast and there will definitely be a fairly lengthy discussion about this game on the podcast. What I will say is, Metacritic scored this game Critics' Choice of, I think it was 96 out of 100. User Choice, their release was 3.6 out of 10. Day after was 3.4 out of 10. 3.6 with 6,806 reviews. 3.4 with 26,000 reviews. I've read the reviews. Don't know what to really say about the type of person who might be reviewing the game. What I will say is, I doubt that anybody who has given the game a 0 score has got past the first 3 hours of the game. There was a point very early on where I would have also scored it quite low. I was saying that I felt start of the game 4 out of 10. We were suffering through the same as the last one, where it was push forward to go, and then every now and then press a button. Super linear. Something that's been added to this game is super long cutscenes. Pretty sure I sat through a 20-minute cutscene at one point, wanted to tear my hair out. A little bit further, maybe another couple of hours into the game, I would have given it a 6 out of 10. Still super linear. Still felt like you were playing a movie. Push forward to go in between quite lengthy cutscenes. They've clearly got a story to tell, and they want to tell it. Sometimes, and this is something that games suffer with every now and then, sometimes the story is bigger than the game, and the people that made it get stuck in a loop of, we want to tell you this story, and people are like, we want to play the game. So there's that tear between the two. This is very much one of those situations where they've clearly got a story to tell. They clearly believe this story is worth telling to the extent that they're prepared to sacrifice the game for it. However, playing it last night, I would score the game 7 out of 10. Because we got to this section where, now I'm really cutting loose. The game has kind of taken off the lead, the chain, whatever. You are playing it more. I got into this area that was like super stealthy. This game is really leaning on its stealth, and this is a stealth game, let's not forget. Really leaning on its stealth. However, as has been the case, I went through this massive town, loads and loads and loads of stealth, but then every now and then, for want of a better way of putting it, I'd fuck it up and I'd have to, go all guns a-blazing. The setting I've got it on, which is as easy as you can get it, means there's an abundance of ammo. I'm often walking around in situations being told that all of my weapons are full when I'm trying to pick up ammo. On the flip side to that, Ellie doesn't carry a lot of ammo. I was telling Luke earlier today, it's like 16 rounds for the handgun, 12 rounds for the revolver, was it 8 for the shotgun, 9 for the rifle. She can carry 6 arrows, 3 of each bomb. So she can't actually carry all that much ammo, which is a bit of a problem. It just makes you play a little bit smarter, and it makes you play smarter in the sense that there is an abundance of ammo, because that's what the setting I've got it on. I'm playing it on easy, so you get more ammo. A game that I started out not enjoying, and even when I would rate it 6 out of 10, probably, if I'm honest, still wasn't enjoying, has now turned into my favourite, a 7 out of 10 game, which I must say, by the time I turned it off last night, I was enjoying playing it. I don't know how it's going to go from here. I don't know what it's going to look like by the end. I will stick with it. You know the rules. I'll stick with it as long as it will let me. And I will keep you posted. I'm going to do bigger reviews on Gameskeeper, I think. But I'm not going to leave you guys high and dry. For anybody that doesn't listen solely to Gameskeeper, I will still keep you guys updated. You know I will. So that is console games. I've been doing the boxing on the VR. I'm stuck on Spider. He is really tall, and it makes boxing him quite difficult. It's also super unfair. On more than a few occasions, he's knocked me out with one punch. Like, you get into the second round and he'll hit me once and I'm out, and I can't recover from it. I feel that it's sort of heavily weighted, so I'm struggling with this one guy. Because of that, it has meant that I have actually played a few other things VR wise. I played the new level on Pistol Whip, which is super intense. This one must have the highest number of enemies of any of the levels. It's loads of fun, but it's really hard. It starts out, you're like, this is really easy, and by the end you're just like, holy shit, like hanging on for dear life. I was going to say that I played Sorrento, but I think I had one game on Sorrento last Thursday, and then Leanne came back from doing the shopping, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to have to turn this off now. It's one of those, it's a game that I want to go back to and I want to play more of, but time restricted, so we'll see. So that's like the VR stuff. Obviously I've already told you that I'm not running. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why, I don't know what the answer is. I'm struggling with a lot of stuff at the moment. I'm struggling with working out, I'm struggling with food and weight. I'm now back to the heaviest I've been at this point in time. So every time I was like, oh, I've lost a couple of pounds, or I've lost half a stone, put all of that back on. That's because the diet slipped. It moved away from salad and veg and moved back to bread and carbs. And that's just largely signifying my mental state. When the chips are down, you go to the comfort food. Just the way it is. But it shouldn't be. And I wanted everything to be sorted by my birthday. And that's not far off now, so I can pretty much safely say that's probably not going to happen. So yeah, that's a super positive note to end on. I've been thinking about stuff in the garage, in the gym. Need to address the gym situation, because ultimately the gyms are going to start opening again soon, and they're not going to be open at a time that I would go, which is going to mean that I'm going to be paying for membership that I can't use. I just need to make a decision, really. I think I need to email them. I might have already said that. So yeah. That's pretty much it, really. Thanks for joining me. I know it's still a bit all over the shop. I'm sure you can probably tell that that's largely to do with a lot of outside factors. It's not you, it's me. So yeah, cheers for joining me. I will speak to you next week, if not before. So, there's that. Cheers! So there we go, what do you think of that? Another one done, another week gone. Oof, where's the time going? YouTube watchers, do us a favour and subscribe while you're there. And if you could just mention it to friends and loved ones, that'd be good, because then maybe they'll subscribe too. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com, check us out over there. You can use various features to send us various types of love, whether it's social media or email. So there we go, that's it for this one. Till next time, I'll say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye!